Hi, guys. Welcome back to this week's episode of Latest with Lily. Woo! My show where I talk about all things sports, but with an emphasis on football, hockey, and baseball. Because let's face it, those are just the best. I start off by talking a little bit, then bring on my very special guest, talk a bit more, and then it's time for everybody's favorite segment Last Minute with Lily, where I list as many fun sports tidbits of the week as I can in just 60 seconds. It's super cool, so you should definitely stick around and watch it. All right, guys, let's get right into it. I am so happy to be back doing another show with you guys because it's been 2 weeks since our last one, if you can believe that. I didn't do one last week because it was midterm week, so I'm really glad to be back, and I'm especially glad that that's over. I'm officially a second semester senior, so it's party time, but more importantly, it's Latest with Lily time. So, let's get right into it for real. Before I bring on my very special guest, I want to talk about an extremely noteworthy development in football that came out just yesterday. Tom Brady of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has officially announced his retirement after 23 seasons in the NFL. That is crazy. Brady, of course, played for the New England Patriots for 20 incredible years and then signed with Tampa for his last 3. After initially announcing his retirement last season, Brady decided to come back to play with Tampa for one more year, which ended in a wildcard loss to Dallas. 7 Super Bowl wins, 10 appearances, 5 MVP awards, and an uncountable amount of memorable games and memorable plays is the legacy that Tom Brady leaves behind. He truly is, without a doubt, the greatest football player of all time, at least from a longevity standpoint. Even the biggest Brady haters have to give him that. And this is a really sad week for the game. It won't be the same without him in the league. It truly won't. All right, enough with the Brady stuff, guys, because there's only so much of that I can stomach. I'm actually quite proud of myself for being very respectful during that opening, that Tom Brady tribute. I thought that was very mature because obviously, as a Steelers fan, Brady has shattered my hopes and dreams more times than I can count. And I can't say I'll be too torn up about not seeing him play next season, although it will definitely be weird. All right, seriously, no more Brady talk. It's time to bring on my very special guest. You may remember him because he's been on the show before. Let's face it, you definitely remember him. The one and only Giancarlo Bintas!
What's
Woo!
good?
What's
I
up,
just
guys?
want to say about Tom Brady.
Yeah?
I don't remember him ever giving the Giants any heartbreak. 2-0, 2 Super Bowls. Eli Manning owns the GOAT. I
Go in
mean,
parentheses.
yeah, because like Eli Manning owns him.
That's
So
fair. Fair enough.
yeah,
Those Super Bowls were truly incredible. That David Tyree catch, whew, good memories. It's so funny because Eli Manning, he's never the guy you think of when you think like top quarterbacks, but Tom Brady, he could just never get past him in the big game.
yep,
Very
the GOAT.
interesting. Wow.
Eli,
Proud
true
day to
man.
be a Giants fan. All right, GC, let's get right into it. I am so excited to have you back. Obviously, because you're the best, you're a great guest, sort of. No, I'm kidding. You're the best. But more importantly, because you actually like hockey, unlike pretty much everyone else that I've had on the show. So
Yes,
it is
sir.
refreshing. Yeah, it's pretty great to have you on. And you are, without a doubt, seriously, hands down, the biggest New York Islanders fan I have ever met. And my dad's a
Yep.
big Islanders fan, but I mean, look at your
Wait,
back.
for real?
Yeah, you didn't know
That's
that?
crazy.
Yeah, he's a big Islanders fan.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Okay, that's crazy.
I guess I should have brought this up sooner in our friendship.
Yeah.
I know.
Okay.
Crazy stuff. But to be honest, I never noticed you had the Matthew Barzal, sticker right over your bed. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, that's my guy,
That's
Barzy.
dedication right there.
I got another one over there.
You wanna
So
show us?
that's
Oh
another
my
Barzy sticker.
it's life size.
Yeah, he's
Oh,
taller than me, for
yeah, I'm
sure.
sure he is. Sorry, that's me. Alright. Well, GC, I know you are, like I said, the biggest Islanders fan I know. But
Yep.
some big news has happened in this week for the
Oh
Islanders.
yeah.
Big news, and I think you know what I'm about to ask you, honestly, because I want to talk to you about Bo Horvat. the former Vancouver Canucks captain that you guys just traded for. This was a massive trade and the first one for the NHL this year. So I just want to know, Giancarlo, do you think this is the push that the Islanders really need to get back on track? Or do you think too little too late for the season?
Well, obviously they had a really bad January, like just horrendous. They were losing games every night. It was brutal. I gave up hope. Even me, biggest optimist, biggest Islander fan ever, gave up hope. And then they won the last two games before the All-Star break, and it's been like, okay. And then the next day they go and trade for Bo Horvat, and it's like, whoa, okay, season's back on. Now, is it enough? I don't think so. I think they need to go get another winger for sure. They're shorthanded on wingers. They lost Wallstrom out. He's out for the year. Clutterbuck's out for the year. So I'm looking for them to go get a guy like Max Domi or Ivan Barbashev, or even like a guy like Tarasenko. That would be a tough guy to get because we already traded our first rounder, but he'd be a huge player next to Barzy. But I mean, it's certainly a huge, huge deal. Like, he's the best player on the market, Bo Horvat. Not even close.
Yeah,
31 goals in 41 games. So on pace for 50 goals. That's crazy. I remember the last time an Islander hit 40 goals, never mind 50. But yeah, I mean, like, the big thing for the Islanders here is you got to come out strong in the next couple of weeks coming out of this All-Star break, because
yeah,
trade deadline's in March. It's early March, so you don't got enough time. You have to evaluate the team really quick to know if, hey, what are we doing here at the deadline? Are we gonna go full in, or are we gonna re-sign Horvat? Because obviously that's something they need to do.
yeah.
But you know, I think what winds up happening is they wind up going to get another forward
Mhm.
at that line. I don't think they're done at all, for sure, like adding to the team. So that's exciting. It's exciting time, for sure.
Yeah. I'm sure it is. I mean, it's just so exciting to get a guy like that. I really didn't think you guys would be winning the Bo Horvat sweepstakes, but I'm
Yep.
happy you did. And I think that, even if it doesn't produce like real change this season, I think that he will definitely be a productive member of the team for years to come if they choose to keep him around.
Mm.
But, I will say maybe I'm not as optimistic about this trade and like the results of this trade as you are. But I know you're the Islanders expert and you definitely know this team a lot better than I do. But to me, this move seems slightly desperate. I don't know. I think the Islanders are not particularly in a position to contend right now by any stretch of the imagination. So going out and getting like a superstar guy like him in, mid-season, it seems a little out of place. You lost Bavillier, which although he hasn't been great, he still is, somewhat serviceable. And I know he's not Sidney Crosby, but he's decent. He's a decent left winger. And you gave up, I'm gonna butcher his name, but I think it's like Atu Rati?
Ratu.
Atu Ratu, the guy you're
Yeah.
wearing his jersey, right?
Yep.
Yep. So, that guy, he's a certified stud, and he hasn't been putting up maybe the exact numbers you wanna see in the AHL, but he is a really great prospect, and to give him up, that was a bit crushing for me, and I'm not even an Islanders fan. So, I think that I don't hate this trade. I love Bo Horvat. I think the Islanders, they're obviously not tanking right now, so I think it makes a little bit of sense, but I am puzzled overall. That's all I have to say.
Well, what I would say to that would be, I mean, this is the same Islanders team that went to back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals just a year before last year,
That's
right?
true.
So, I mean, save a couple players, but also, I mean, the players that we lost, you have Ilya Sorokin, he's at the top of the game right now in terms of
Yeah,
goalies. I
for
don't think
sure.
there's anyone better than Ilya Sorokin. And the goals, like all the underlying numbers show, he's the best goalie in the league this season. He's got by far the most goals saved above expected. Like 5 more than the next guy, which is crazy. Um, but I mean, to your points about Ratu, it did suck to lose Ratu. I will say that. Like, he was one of my favorite players for the Islanders. Like, he only played 12 games, but like it was like one of the first exciting prospects we had in a long time. We traded him. But also, I mean, if you look at where we got him 52nd overall. We got him in the second round. Um, and and we've been a good drafting team in the late rounds. So I'm not that concerned with losing Ratu. And Beauvillier is he's awful. He has been one of the worst players I've seen play for the Islanders in a long time. And he had a couple good years. He had a couple really nice moments with the Islanders, but it was time to move on. I think they were going to move on from him no matter what. The fact that we were able to dump him in a trade to go get a superstar was huge. And I think Bo Horvat pushes them over the edge into being a playoff team. I don't know if they're going to be a cup contender yet. You need Sorokin to get hot. You need, I feel like you need another scorer, but we'll see. And to Dylan's comment about Igor Shesterkin being better,
Rangers fan.
that's just wrong. Ilya is just like, he's here and Igor's like down here. And Igor's good. He's really good. That's just how good Ilya Sorokin is. He's going to be the best goalie of this generation for sure. You can already see it happening. I'd put him above Vasilevsky. I put him above pretty much anyone, any goalie right now. And I think he's going to retire as one of the greats, like up there with Brodeur, whatever. Buffalo's goalie. What's his name? Was it Hasek?
Yeah.
Wow. He's gonna be maybe not to that tier, but he's gonna be a top 10 goalie all time.
Wow.
All time. Yeah.
Put
it in the books. GC said it.
GC said
What's today's day? February 2nd, 2023.
On Latest with Lily. On
Latest with Lily. We can go back to this.
You heard it here first.
Yeah. Ilya's the GOAT.
Well, on his retirement day, we'll pull this clip up for sure. You heard it here first, guys. GC
31's going up there into the rafters.
You know what? 30, I wouldn't be surprised if you're right. I wouldn't be surprised. I mean, he might take over your Barzal wall over there. Who knows? But I think that for as good as Sorokin is, it's really hard for me to knock Igor Shesterkin even a little bit after what happened to my Penguins against him, because he literally he ruined my life last playoffs. I remember that overtime game that was just crushing. But Shesterkin is great, Sorokin is great, and I think, it'll be really interesting in the next few years to see who kind of emerges as that, kind of one-upping the other person, it's kind of like a Crosby-OV rivalry, if you may.
For sure. Especially because New York, they both came in at the same time, and they're actually best friends, too. That's the other thing.
Are you serious?
since Russia, yeah.
I didn't know that.
I just read today on Twitter, Sorokin is Shesterkin's kid's godfather.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, look at that. That's crazy for Islanders and a Rangers player. I mean, think about how much their fans hate each other, let alone the players. Wild.
But I mean, they go back to Russia. I mean, they were both same age, Russian goalies.
Mm-hmm.
They came up in the KHL together, probably played on a bunch of Russian national teams together.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
it's kind of like Barzal and Beauvillier being friends,
Yeah.
Kind of sad now that Beauvillier is gone, but hopefully they can keep up the friendship like Shesterkin.
Yeah, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Just as far away from the Islanders as possible.
All the way up to Vancouver, don't worry.
All the way over to Vancouver. Couldn't be further.
I mean, yeah. You know what, Giancarlo? I don't know if I share the exact same optimism for the Islander season as you, but you know what? I like New York hockey. I like New York sports. And for that reason, I hope you're right. I hope we do see some competitive Islanders hockey, late into the spring. But I just hope it's not at the expense of my Penguins. So let's move on a bit from the hockey talk, although that does pain me because we don't get to talk about hockey a lot on the show. And I'm really glad I got a guest on it who has the same, if not, dare I say it, more appreciation for the sport of hockey than I do. Who knows? But I think we really should move on to football just because, guys, this is crazy, but we have one NFL game left in this entire season. That's actually horrifying for me to say. I feel like this has just flown by, this NFL season. And it's been one to remember, lots of epic highs and lots of terrible lows, but it all comes down to this one big game. But let's back it up a bit and talk about this week of football. So let's talk about the conference championship games because they were some pretty interesting games. The Philadelphia Eagles destroyed the San Francisco 49ers, who had to resort to their fourth string quarterback in the playoff game, Josh Johnson, I think his name was, after Brock Purdy was injured. Now, Josh Johnson has been on 14 NFL rosters throughout his career. That just kind of shows you the caliber of player he is, not one that teams really like to have on the roster for too long. But yeah, Brock Purdy got injured. Then Josh Johnson got injured, couldn't come back in the game, and Purdy was forced to go back in, even though he couldn't throw with his arm. So he basically just had to be in there to hand the ball off, and it was pretty ridiculous. But my question for you, Giancarlo, is what are your thoughts on this game? But more specifically, do you think that if San Fran had a competent quarterback, or even one that could throw the ball slightly, do you think things would have been different? Or do you think that Philly would have taken care of business regardless?
I think it's really clear that Philly is probably the most fraudulent team we've seen in the NFL since I don't even know when. This is crazy. They can't keep getting away with this. They can't. I mean, look what they beat a single good team this year? Who they beat?
Yes,
Who?
they beat some competent teams.
Who?
They beat the Giants in the playoffs. They beat the
So
Cowboys in the playoffs. They beat Dak Prescott,
they didn't
who
beat the
although
Cowboys in the playoffs.
yeah, they did.
The Cowboys lost to the Niners.
Oh, that's true. Okay, but
So
they beat the
so
Giants.
they so they have the first round bye. Then they play the Giants, which I'm a Giants fan, but I mean, you look at the quality of the rosters, compare the Giants roster, the Cowboys to the Eagles roster. I mean, well, everyone kind of expected the Giants to lose. I mean, it would have been a really good underdog story, but the Giants have worse receivers, worse corners, worse everything besides, coaching. Um and like, so Philly cruised to a win, whatever. Now they finally it's like, okay, finally they're playing a real team. And then the Niners quarterback gets hurt. It's crazy.
Yeah,
And I'm really looking forward to them getting exposed by the Chiefs this 2 Sundays. But in my opinion, the Eagles I do not fear the Eagles at all if I'm the Chiefs, if I'm a Chiefs fan. They have a good team. I don't think Jalen Hurts is that guy. I think he's carried by all the talent around him. I think he's carried by especially like just the O line and the D line. And like I think credit to the Philly GM because he's really built a really good D line, a really good O line. And that's a team that's built on running the ball. So it takes a lot of pressure off a quarterback when you can run the ball the way Philly can.
of
And it
course.
takes a lot of pressure off a coach. And I saw Giant safety Julian Love go on Good Morning NFL this morning. And he said what everyone's thinking. Nick Sirianni is a complete fraud. He's just bumbling around the sidelines, making dumb faces every time the Eagles score. Because he said anyone could be the coach of the Eagles. I could be the coach of the Eagles. I can coach them to the Super Bowl.
Okay, that's
Let me get in there. Let me drop some Madden plays, because they're gonna. I'm gonna be the same thing as Nick Sirianni. He's a fraud. Eagles are frauds. They're losing big time. They're getting blown out by the
but you
Chiefs
think they're
in the
gonna
Super
get
Bowl.
blown out by the Chiefs,
Blown
genuinely.
out. Mahomes is gonna be taking care of business. 15 plus points. Put it on every parlay you got. Chiefs overs, Philly unders. I don't know if I can talk about betting. This is a still a high school show, but
Yeah, that's
uh
true. If you're
Philly,
18 and you're, not watching this in high school, this is Giancarlo's parlay advice.
yeah.
Yeah.
Just bet the under, bet the over for the Chiefs, bet the under for the
What about the
Eagles.
prop bets? Come on, you gotta get out the national
Okay.
anthem. Come on.
We're gonna hit
I'm
the over. Oh, the national anthem. Okay.
I'm
I'm-
kidding.
no, we're gonna hit the over on the Chiefs kickers extra points. We're gonna hit
Okay.
the over on Mahomes' past
What about
TDs.
the Eagles punter? We gotta get the over on yards for him.
I'm not sure what his name is, but I know I'm gonna know his name after the Super Bowl. So that's all that matters.
Mark your
Uh,
words. Mark your words.
yeah. I
Wow.
mean, once again, February 2nd, GC saying it.
On
Eagles
latest with
getting
Lily.
blown out. And this isn't as a biased Giants fan. This is as a unbiased NFL fanatic.
Wow. I do respect that take because honestly, you did make a good point. The Eagles, as much as I hate the take that's like Eagles haven't played anyone good all year, looking back at their regular season games that they had an absurdly easy schedule. And you can make the case that although the Eagles did lose some games, they only lost games because their key starters were missing during those games. So it's not the Eagles' fault that their schedule was weak. They did everything they were supposed to do. They took care of business. They blew out the teams they played in the playoffs. That's everything that they could do. The Eagles cannot request a more difficult roster. So while I think that yes, it does strength of schedule does show something about a team, I think that the true test will be against the Chiefs. I don't think that this is necessarily going to be an exposure game for them though, because they have shown that when they do see playoff caliber, opponents, they can blow them out in the playoffs. And although the 49ers didn't have a quarterback, personally, I think it still would not have been enough, even if they had Purdy throughout that entire game. Because the Eagles, they are so complete and they are so healthy, and they have just looked like such a powerhouse. And the 49ers, for as good as their skill position players are, and they are so good, I mean, they just have an insane talent on their roster, they wouldn't have been able to get the job done. Brock Purdy is a rookie quarterback. a 7th round pick rookie quarterback. And his wideouts and his running backs have padded his stats recently. And although he hasn't made any, major blunders, he looked kind of shaky in their win over, I just in their win over Dallas. I think that although his stats look great, he made one great throw. I think it was to Ayuk, like Brandon Ayuk. But other than that, I saw some like, dump passes every once in a while, and he didn't look as poised as people are making this Brock Purdy guy, out to be. I don't trust him to have risen to the occasion and gone toe to toe with Jalen Hurts, who personally I think Jalen Hurts is that guy. I mean, he had yes, okay, maybe he's not the traditional, pocket passer you might like, Giancarlo, but he's really a good guy. He's he can make throws on the run, he can make throws within the pocket, but that guy's running ability is scary. Jalen Hurts can run, as good as any competent running back you have. And the Eagles have set up so well to be such a good running team that just makes, an added level of terror for, their opponents. And I think that although I'm hyping up the Eagles so much, I am going to say later that I think the Chiefs are winning, but I think that, your prediction of the Eagles getting blown out is way off in my opinion.
I think you nailed it. Jalen Hurts is a running back. He's not a quarterback. They force him to pass. The Chiefs are going to win. And I think the way to do that for the Chiefs, the game plan is let's be aggressive early. Let's go out. Let's take the lead. Let's make them pass all game. Let's take a 2-possession lead early. Let's really expose Jalen Hurts for the fraud he is, for the, running back he is. Because I'll take Gardner Minshew throwing the ball over Jalen Hurts.
Are you serious?
Yeah, like Jalen Hurts hasn't shown me anything ever in the NFL besides the fact that he can run. It's like, okay, he can run the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen Daniel Jones do that all season. But I mean, come on.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to go back to my point about the Eagles playing nobody.
Yeah.
The best team they beat was probably week 1 when they barely beat the Lions 38-35.
That was a game. Oh my gosh, I remember that.
They barely beat the Cowboys backup. I mean, if you look at these games, they beat their fraudulent team. No doubt about it. And yeah, so maybe the game's a little closer than I'm saying. Maybe I'm being over aggressive with the 2-possession. Maybe they get a couple garbage time TDs, but we'll know the who's winning the Super Bowl by the start of the fourth quarter because the Chiefs are going to be up by multiple possessions.
Yeah, I could see that happening. I wouldn't be surprised if either team won, honestly, because I can see a path to victory for either of them. And I usually don't really say that about a Super Bowl. I usually feel passionately about one team or the other. But for this one, I just don't know. I think the time of possession is going to be the most massive part of this game, though. Both teams have stacked rosters. Both teams, in my opinion, have talented quarterbacks, although you may not share that same opinion, but they have stacked rosters. We know that. And I just think the thing with the Chiefs is their offense is score, 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 score. I mean, they have Kelsey, they've got Mahomes, and that connection is lethal. So for them, I think you have to, for the Eagles, if they have any chance of, beating the Chiefs, I think they have to control time of possession. And the good thing for them is that they're a running-based team, and running kills the clock. And that in and of itself is a good recipe for the Eagles to at least maintain, ball time. Because at the end of the day, I think if they have a 1 touchdown lead going into like third, fourth quarter, they're just going to start running the ball. And I think that the Chiefs definitely can respond to that. But if the Eagles defense is locked down late in the game, I see a path for an Eagles victory. I do. But that time of possession thing, watch out for that because I think it's going to be very crucial within this game.
Yeah, time of possession could
arguably more crucial than the turnover battle. I will say that.
Yeah, time of possession could definitely determine the game. But like you said, the Chiefs can go down the field and score whenever they want. So I don't think that really, like, if the Chiefs like score in 2 minutes, it's like it doesn't matter because the Chiefs can just go down. Like we've seen the Chiefs be able to go down the field like this in playoff games,
13 seconds.
13 seconds against the Bills.
Yeah.
Back when I was a Josh Allen bandwagon then, so that wouldn't hurt me a little bit.
Are you not anymore?
I mean, the Giants are good now, so I don't really have to be.
Oh my gosh.
Like that was more because the Giants were so bad. I had to like root for someone come January,
That's
But
fair.
yeah. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
I really think that I think Mahomes is gonna wind up clutching up. I think. Yeah.
I do agree. Ultimately, I think like another thing that it boils down to, other than time of possession, is experience. I'm a big believer in experience wins playoff games, but it's kind of hard to win playoff games if you don't have experience. It's hard to build up that experience, but I think that the Chiefs have been in this position with virtually the same roster, minus Tyreek Hill. They've been to 3 Super Bowls. And they've been to like what four or five AFC championship games with this same team. So I think that Andy Reid, Mahomes, and the rest of the team, they know what this is about. They know that the high stakes, high pressure environment of the Super Bowl and the AFC championship game. And although Jalen Hurts has been in the playoffs, it was for one game. And I think that Nick Sirianni and him they don't have the same cohesive experience as a singular unit as the Chiefs roster does, and that does count for a lot, especially in crunch time situations, especially in times when you have to manage the clock well and just know how to execute and not let your nerves get to you, and that does count for a lot. So I think bottom line, I do think we're in agreement that KC is going to pull this one out, but I'm a believer that it's going to be a bit closer than you think it is.
Yeah. And one more point about the Chiefs, like you said, it's the same roster, but I mean, there's a lot of rookies on their defense. That's one thing going for Philly. It's like, hey, like, these rookies could, or they could, crack under the pressure and take a lot of penalties, but I just don't see it happening. I think Mahomes is just too good to lose to an inferior team,
That's
fair. A fraudulent team. Yeah, so.
I might say slightly inferior, you might say fraudulent, but at the end of the day, we're both predicting this KC win. So, you know what? 2 weeks from now, a little under 2 weeks from now, we'll be talking about this, and either we're right or we're wrong. So you heard it here first on Latest with Lily. Giancarlo, I can't thank you enough for being here. I actually really enjoyed this episode with you. You kind of changed my mind about some certain things, which I was surprised about, but I think we had some good discussions, honestly. And thanks for talking hockey with me.
Thank you. And I'd like to say one more thing.
Of course.
Another thing I'm going to guarantee on February 2nd, 2023, the New York Islanders will be going on a deep playoff run. Perhaps the Stanley Cup final. Perhaps to win the Stanley Cup. But it's going to happen. There's going to be playoff games at UBS Arena. Open the doors. They're Borelli's. Open the doors. We're going to Borelli's.
Borelli.
We got the Borelli shirt right here.
Oh my God, I love
We're going to Borelli's.
That Italian
We're watching
style.
the playoff games. We're watching the playoff games at Borelli's. We're winning this cup. New York Islanders, Bo Horvat, Anders Lee, Matty Barzal, Ilya Sorokin. Let's go. Islanders traded Bo. We're good now. Islanders going all the way.
Islanders, we got to get that going. Yeah, Islanders.
Let's go.
Well, Giancarlo, I hope for your sake you're right, because I know how much the Islanders, winning or losing affects your mental health. So I really hope that they do well for the sake of you. All right. Thank you so much, DC. I really appreciate coming on the show.
Thank you.
Bye. Giancarlo was phenomenal, as always. I think he's really warmed up to being a guest on the show, honestly. He seemed more comfortable than last time, which is always a good thing. I'm sure he'll be back. Maybe during an Islanders playoff run. Who knows? You have to keep watching Latest with Lily to see. But, all right, guys. We've got, the moment you've been waiting for. Last Minute with Lily. The jokes are, awfully funny, as always. You might find them funny. You might find them pathetic dad jokes. But either way, I'm going to try my best. So I'll get my 60-second timer up. All right. Ready and go. Julian Love of the New York Giants said on NFL Network that Eagles head coach Nick Sirianni has had a free ride in getting his team to the Super Bowl. I think Julian should remember that Sirianni will be watching the Super Bowl from the sidelines, and Love will be watching it from the couch. The average cost for Super Bowl tickets this year is nearly $6,000. I didn't even need to make a joke for that one, because that's a joke in and of itself. Who's going to pay $6,000 to go to Arizona? Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce has urged fans not to mess with the famous Rocky statue in Philadelphia ahead of the Super Bowl. 49ers fans would have appreciated such a warning from George Kittle, but they didn't get it. All right. World's oldest person, Tom Brady, has finally retired from the NFL. So it looks like it should be 2-3 more weeks till Adam Schefter tweets that he's coming back to play for the Jets. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me. Hope you enjoyed those jokes. Hope you enjoyed, watching with Giancarlo, watching with me. I really appreciate you, supporting the show as always. So thank you so much, guys. I'll see you next week.